Welcome to the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast.
Every week, they talk about the Vancouver Canucks with a fair amount of nonsense thrown in.
Sure, they're never the first with the news, nor the best connected, and definitely more off the rails than on.
But they've been talking puck the longest, and that counts for something, right?
So strap in for the longest running, best mediocre Canucks Hockey Podcast.
It's C4 with Chris and Anna.
Hi, Anna.
Oh, hi, Chris. You
were
keep me on
waiting
my
for
toes.
me to say hi, Craig.
Yeah, I was waiting for the robot greeting. But yeah, you like to keep me on my toes, so here we are.
I do. I try to mix it up. I keep our listeners entertained. You know, it's the way of the podcast host.
Yeah.
How you been?
Oh God. Yeah, good. It is now January in Vancouver. Today, Sunday, it poured down this morning. Poured like biblical rain, and then by like 4, 5 o'clock, it was beautiful sunshine. I don't know what to do, but yeah, other than the weather, I'm doing all right. How are you?
Not too bad. We did not get the biblical rain where I
Oh.
live. We got a little rain. Like it got rained on when I went to Costco, but it wasn't
No.
biblical.
was
It was the type of rain that you don't mind because it keeps the dust down.
Yeah, and to be clear, I know we need the rain. Like in a province that gets inundated with wildfires every summer, I should be grateful for the rain. But yeah, it was a bit crazy.
Other news that might be of interest to our listeners. I am still employed. Very long story short, I got told on my last day that they were going to mean to. They presented me a series of options, and one of which was to take placement in a role that would allow me to remain in something very similar to what I'm already doing. I'll be very honest. I don't know if anything's going to really change other than the stress that I've gone through over the past month. But that's some good news. I'm not hitting the streets like former coaches of Vancouver Canucks and Vancouver Goldeneyes might be. Trying to find new jobs, so that's good.
Yeah, I mean that's good news for you. I also still employed for now. We'll see. I every day feel like rage quitting, but
Oh,
who knows? But yeah, new jobs like you mentioned. For Manny Malhotra.
which we didn't know was going to happen, but we kind of thought would.
We kind of
and
knew,
it
right?
did.
And it did. He was definitely our number one candidate, that's for sure. No other candidates really emerged. We didn't know for sure that Coach Brian Adolski would get fired from the Goldeneyes, but again, we kind of did. We had speculated for a while that he was moving in a new direction. So yeah, seasons of change.
Yeah,
and the weather and
they
beyond.
are. Yeah. What else has been going on? Well, the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs continue. Our worst fears were realized. C'est la vie. But the games have been entertaining, to say the least. But again, it doesn't make me any happier that, I have no problem with one of the two teams.
Yeah, no
pretty sure
problem.
our listeners know which one. So
yeah.
PWHL expansion is taking place, and I think as of recording, Vegas does not yet have 5 players signed, which I think triggers a new type of expansion process or something. Like it's phased or staged. So teams had to have 5 players, and if they didn't, and instead of signing players, they could select players, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we've been through the phases on the podcast before and not fully understood them. But yeah, signings have happened, just not maybe enough. But yeah, it's been an interesting time for the league.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll get into all of that and as much as else we can over the course of the next hour or so, as we always do. And I mean, we're going to probably get off the rails. It's silly season. That's what happens. I mean, we get off the rails in the regular season, so why would we not get off the rails in silly season? But to do that, we got to dive into Rewind. So the big secret that wasn't really a secret, Vancouver Canucks have hired Manny Malhotra as their new head coach. I mean, it sounds like Ryan Johnson had spoke to a handful of people, but it occurs to me that maybe that was just more for, due diligence sake. The smoke was that negotiations between the team and Manny were longer than they had intended to be due to, money contract type stuff, but that eventually got sorted. You and I talked about, Manny Malhotra becoming the head coach in Vancouver last episode. But one of the things that I'm curious about, because it's not often you'll see a head coach announced, but no assistants or alternates to go along for the ride.
Yeah, I mean, coaches usually travel in packs. They feel safer that way. And a head coach usually has his boys. And they usually are boys. But
well, I was going to say, I mean, there is the possibility that Vancouver and Seattle could do a tradesy or something like that.
I mean, I think I would be very, very excited by the prospect of Jessica Campbell coming in, not least because she is a special team specialist. And the special teams haven't been quite so special in Vancouver. Like, her work on the power play in Seattle has been really good. The Canucks have been on the bad end of that when Seattle have scored on game-saving power plays or short cool goalie situations. So yeah, that's an exciting possibility. Obviously, Manny had staff in Abbotsford. Doesn't seem like they're coming with him. I don't know if it's a fresh start type thing. Or Canucks don't want to take too many risks. Given Manny has not had a head coach job at the NHL level, they want to put some more NHL experience around him, or whether it's, let's figure this out together and figure out what we want to build. Yeah, I'll be curious for sure what happens with that, because it's certainly something Canucks fans pay attention to.
Did you know that the Abbotsford Canucks still list Manny Malhotra as their head coach? I mean, I get that it's the silly season, but the Big Canucks website's been updated. You think the Abby Canucks website could have been updated too? RJ's still the general manager down there. I mean, I get, like, arguably he could be general manager for both, but he won't be.
He won't be.
Could you imagine Manny having to drive back and forth and coach both teams? How would they handle the road trips?
Yeah, it is funny because I'm sure at times it did feel like that Adam Foote was maybe coaching the Abbotsford Canucks at some points last year during the various injury crises. But yeah, I guess, that would be a vacant spot right now. It's probably not a priority for the Canucks to work that out just now, but if you're a rebuilding team, what's going on in your farm team should be pretty important given Manny's success there.
So I want to pose this question, and it's just more of a question. So, the possibility of Jessica Campbell coming to Vancouver and the whole Tracy thing, it's that she's still technically under contract with the Seattle Kraken. Patrick Allvin is still technically under contract with the Vancouver Canucks. And the thought being is the two teams would allow each other to talk to the opposite party with the intent of,
yes, we are not
staff moving
a real trade that unfortunately does not exist.
No.
But yeah, obviously Patrick Allvin is still admired for his scouting chops. yeah, be
And
interesting.
executive assistant ability.
Yes. So
Uh,
yeah, or
but
his spokesperson ability, or
yeah, but
whatever he did.
the question I wanted to pose: could she be the new head coach in Abbotsford? And I'm not trying to take away from the
Yeah,
possibility of her being an assistant coach in the NHL. And she obviously came out of Coachella Valley um, before becoming an assistant coach in Seattle. Uh, um, she's, and I'm not again saying that's where she deserves to be, but it kind of, there's a need down there,
yeah, it's an
and then it
interesting.
allows them to address the what do you pair with Manny with.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to discuss, right? Because whenever there's a good female coach, whatever part of the game it is, it's always kind of positioned as, well, of course you want to coach like at the NHL level in the men's game, and like that happens in, you know, in football in the women's super league. If there's a really good female coach there, obviously they want to coach in the men's game. That's the top of the game. Like, and yeah, I don't know what Jessica Campbell's ambitions are, whether it's to remain just a specialist. You have to think that maybe someone of her talent is eyeing head coach jobs, but
Mhm.
whether she thinks that's like the best way to own that is in Abbotsford, I'd be, obviously you might get some freedom, but it's maybe not the best environment for someone.
No, and I think the way I sort of view it, it is more of a stepping stone. Like one of the reasons why a lot of coaches come out of the A is it's sort of perceived as a space to develop your head coaching resume,
Right.
managing a staff, managing a roster within the sort of guardrails of whatever is being directed to you from above. Now, that's not to suggest that an assistant coach in the NHL can't go and, be elevated. That happens all the time as well. But I'm just sort of spitballing. I
Yeah.
like the idea. I want her to be involved in the organization. Or, as someone on social media had pointed out, could the Goldeneyes get in on this action possibly,
Right.
and find themselves a new head coach? I actually don't know. Again, what to your point, what
What? Yeah,
her
and that's the thing.
goal
You would
is.
think, and not to say that PWHL would be a downgrade. I'm not saying that at all. I think that maybe, given she's been in the NHL, that's probably where she wants to stay,
Mhm.
because that's what her experience is. Um, yeah, and I'm going to be so curious about what the Golden Knights are looking for. Just on that point, there's been some speculation that a GM coach scenario might happen in Vancouver as well. I think that would be a big mistake.
Sorry, like RJ is on the bench?
No, no, for the Golden Eyes, given
Oh,
that
okay. Sorry, I was
given that
like,
San Jose are
so
also
he's his
doing that.
boss, but he's his boss. Like that's a weird circle of
Yeah,
weirdness. Okay, no, better. Okay, I
yeah,
didn't realize we were going on to the Golden Eyes still. Sorry. Many
but yeah,
apologies.
I think because Cara Gardner Moray does have coaching experience,
Mhm.
that's been floated, but I think
Yeah.
San Jose want to do that, let them sink themselves. I don't think is a good idea.
Um, back to the Vancouver Canucks, and I'm not trying
Yes.
to, move on from the Golden Knights. We'll come back to the Golden Knights later on. So the Vancouver Canucks have a coach who shares the same name as one of the players projected to go third overall,
What
and
a coincidence.
you know, it adds some wrinkles, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah. And like Canucks maybe, I'm not saying they're pretending the problem isn't there, but they do seem to be trying to play it down.
mhm.
Like that there could be a separation of church and state if Caleb were to come and play in the Canucks system. I'm not
Which
saying
one's
that
the church? Which one's the state?
yeah, I don't know. I got lost in my metaphor. Um but yeah, Manny is super professional. He
Mhm.
is a class act. Everyone knows this. Does he need that extra challenge? I just feel like in this market, it's gonna be a lot of scrutiny. But that isn't to say you should completely change your draft plans just because of who your head coach is. But he's
Well,
not a
we
consensus number 3 pick. Let's just put it that
no,
way.
yeah, and we don't know their draft plans. Like
We don't.
we know that the Canucks have been doing due diligence with those who are projected to go high up on draft day. Apparently, they're like one of the only teams that had dinner with Gavin McKenna, though. So much is being made out of that, like as if
Yeah. Also,
having
Toronto literally invited him. He's going to Toronto.
yeah. And I can't remember who it was actually went up to. Was it Anchorage or wherever?
He's
Or
from
not,
Yukon.
yeah, Whitehorse. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I suddenly doubted my initial thought, which is why I went with Anchorage. Whitehorse. But the Canucks met with the Ruck twins, who apparently, I mean, I was being silly last episode when I had suggested there was a possibility, but the Ruck twins have let it be known they would prefer to be on the same team. And what team in the NHL has experience making that magic happen?
I know. I'm sure they may prefer it. The fact that Sadine's got to do it and they're literally in a co-poho situation together. Like,
Okay,
that's
there's no
crazy.
possible way the Vancouver Canucks could pull that off because
No, it's a once in a lifetime thing.
yeah, it's magic in a bottle because if there's one thing that NHL GMs don't like doing is being fooled twice, unless their name's Jim Benning. And it's like how Vegas did what they did in their expansion season. The teams all hated being used and abused, which it's like Vegas somehow blackmailed them when they didn't, and Seattle unfortunately got punished for it. Well, it's going to happen again. Like, there's no way anyone will do business if they caught wind that Vancouver's going to have 2 picks back to back, because then they know what's going to happen.
Correct.
I'm of the opinion you take your best player available. Like the Vancouver Canucks on a rebuild, you don't go and draft for position in a rebuild. It's BPA all the way. And if it happens to be, Malhotra, so be it. There's still plenty of opportunity to do whatever needs to be done, whether it be defining who gets to be church and state or what have you. BPA all the way.
Yeah. I agree. I know I did say, Caleb Malhotra's like a 2C, and we already have a 2C prospect. But yeah, I do think you need to not galaxy brain it too much.
Mm-hmm.
All I'm saying is that the concerns are real if Caleb Malhotra becomes part of the system.
Yep.
Yeah,
They are.
but I am curious because of the way both Manny and RJ have talked about it, whether them saying they're not worried about it means he's not in their sights.
Yeah.
Or what?
Who knows?
We'll see.
Who knows?
We'll see.
Yeah. Other Vancouver Canucks news. So they've hired Darren Hermiston as Director of Player Personnel and Player Development. He of an agency based out of, was it Kelowna, I think?
Mm-hmm.
Not the name that I think some in our market would have wanted as, Director of Player Personnel, Player Development. I think there are many who are looking for a computer boy. One of the many produced out of Vancouver. But that said, by all accounts, this guy is a smart dude. And I think having, smart people within the organization is beneficial. He's not part of the old guard. He's not someone who is, completely trotted out old ideas as new. And I'm not trying to say that won't happen. It just occurs to me that there's maybe a sign that the Vancouver Canucks are slowly embracing the fact that they have to modernize their organization.
Yeah. And we've talked about computer boys quite a lot on the show. And I do think we are both of the opinion that Canucks need to incorporate more, lean more heavily on that kind of analyst
Look at
side.
look at
But yeah,
Carolina, right? Like Florida had their success based
yeah,
on an organizational embrace of analytics. Now, analytics aren't everything. Like I
no,
feel
of
even
course,
those who are in analytics will suggest that it needs to be part of
exactly.
the conversation and a substantial one, but it's not everything. Now they'll explain that there's some analytical formula that supports that, but the fact remains it needs to be appreciated and understood, and that's never really been the case here in Vancouver,
Yeah,
save for maybe a window in the Gillis era.
mm,
But
yeah.
even
When
then,
the optimization era, the
mhm.
era of the sleep doctor, etc. Um, all of which I'm very skeptical of in real life, but hockey's not real life. Yeah, and I think to me that's always been the difference between analysis, like numbers guys and analytics guys and eye test guys, is that people in analytics think that the eye test is important alongside numbers, and people on the eye test side just disregard numbers whatsoever.
Yeah,
So yeah,
they're more
um,
concerned about whether or not he took a 20 out of the playbook or um, has 20 girlfriends.
yeah. Um, I'm
Um,
realizing also since we recorded
Draft
last
Day,
Canucks,
great movie. Have you seen Draft Day? I'm
I
going off the
haven't.
rails. Anna, you got to watch Draft Day. It's a great
Okay.
movie. I mean, okay, it's not like critically acclaimed.
No,
It's not
I
going to be like,
didn't think
wow,
it
I
was.
can't believe
I'll ask the
I've never
list.
watched it, but it's a good movie. Draft Day, it's really good.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will watch. Um, Maybe I'll bring back C4 at the movies. That's a deep cut for people. Um, yeah, Canucks have made a signing also since we last
Yes,
recorded.
that's true. That's true.
Ilya Safonov.
On a 1 year, two-way
Safonov.
deal. He's a
Yeah.
big boy.
Yeah. Speaking of numbers versus eye test, interesting. We'll see if anything pans out. His numbers in um the K have not been spectacular, and the K has not been as spectacular as it was. So
I
we'll see
to
how he
see
does in
people who
Vancouver.
are like, I can't believe this. Like, why would they make this deal? It's a two-way deal. I get that it
Yeah,
takes a contract spot, but like these are the types of deals I feel a rebuilding team should explore. It's like hey,
that's
roll the
quiet.
dice. It's not going to cost us a lot, and if it pans out, great. And who knows, maybe it can be manufactured into something bigger and better that then in turn supports the rebuild. Yeah, like this is the type of stuff you go into. It also sort of reinforces why if it was reasonable, have no issue with the Vancouver Canucks looking to take Gallagher contract off of Montreal's hands. Yes, that's a different scenario,
Yeah.
but it supports the rebuild. And let's be honest, if the Vancouver Canucks can be smart about it, Montreal should be paying Vancouver to take the contract and the cap relief it would provide off of their books. Weaponize the cap space, baby.
I also
Um,
realize that he's a Dan Milstein client, so it does sort of check out with
uh,
the Canucks.
You did put in the rundown bringing the band back together. So Alex Edler is going to apparently be here to assist during training camp. The hot rumor was Alex Burrows was going to be brought back in a coaching role, though it sounds like he is happy with where he's at currently supporting
Which
Montreal.
makes sense. I mean, his whole family's there. He has a
Mhm.
pretty decent role with the organization. And yeah, despite being half English, he barely speaks English. So, and I don't mean that as an insult, even though it kind of sounds like one. Yeah, why would he move over for a
But- Well,
assistant
he
coaching job?
but the thing is he was an assistant coach in Montreal
Yeah,
and transitioned to a different role to support his family. Like it is just that was
exactly.
his choice. So what you're saying I think resonates quite loudly. Then changing his mind and coming all the way back. I was going to say home, but back west.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't really line up. There was some smoke that Kevin Bieksa will hang up the microphone to return to Vancouver. Honest to goodness, I don't know why he would go and do that. He's
No,
doing such a phenomenal job.
Another award-winning year as an analyst. He's doing a great job. He still gets to, coach his kid whilst having a much better life. Let's be
Yeah.
honest, like working in the media.
He might get to that point.
Yeah,
Now is
but
not it. Yeah. But are there any other members of the band that could make a return? Those are the ones I'd
Yeah.
heard.
I'm
I think Chris
wondering,
Higgins is
like,
still around.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Chris Higgins never left, so
mhm.
I'm sure we can think of someone. We'll find, and we're still paying longer, right? So
I don't think the Canucks are paying Luongo any longer. But it was looking, like it could be at one point.
yeah,
Anyhow, when we get back together in a couple of weeks' time, the Stanley Cup final will have come to an end. And this is one of the other things is that teams generally don't do a lot during the Stanley Cup final, as the league doesn't like its showcase event being shown up by something else. So once that's done, then maybe more stuff will trickle out. But until then, well, I shouldn't say until then. We're going to be back, but we're going to take a short break. You're listening to the C4 Hockey Podcast, brought to you by Anna, Chris, and a robot named Craig.
Take hitting out of the game. You can't hit anymore, so don't do it.
The unsportsmanlike conduct, I want to get an explanation on it.
No kidding.
Because how do you get suspended for unsportsmanlike conduct?
Plus interference. There's no interference there. He had the puck.
Now, Madison never ever did that before. Now, why did he do it? And that because he was mad.
Well, your early favorite for the Calder Trophy, that's for sure. Elias Pettersson, you might even say your early favorite for the Hart Trophy.
Just to get back to your question, Elias is going to play plenty. He didn't play. He's going to get a lot of power play time. And yeah, I'm concerned about our offense. We lost 200-point players, and we've got to find a way to score.
We spent Rewind talking mostly about the Vancouver Canucks, and I think it's only fair we spend half full, half empty talking about the Vancouver Goldeneyes and maybe the PWHL. We touched on it earlier. Expansion season is in effect with the PWHL. The Vancouver Goldeneyes, as of recording, have not been poached yet,
no.
which is, so I want to say surprising. However, I suspect it has more to do with the fact that in the first phase of the expansion draft or signing window or whatever you want to call it, players have to agree to contracts with new teams. And it's possible that none of the players in Vancouver who may have been interested in going to new teams have been interested in signing said contracts. Alternatively, maybe because Vancouver had such a tough season, none of the new teams are calling, though I highly doubt that, considering the Seattle Torrent have no one on their roster anymore. So, I mean, I don't know. But the bigger news before all of that transpired is that Vancouver had an opportunity to protect 3 players through contracts. Sarah Nurse returning to Vancouver. You and I had sort of thought, like, might she depart? Might she go back to Toronto? No, she's staying here. And that news might be related to the fact that Brian Nadolski is no longer head coach. There is some belief that Sarah and Brian were on 2 different sides of a rink at times. I don't know exactly what would have been transpired, but if I had to choose, I think I'd choose Sarah over Brian.
Yeah, and I would too. And to be clear, we don't know anything, but there's just things that happen and you add 2 things together. What's interesting to me is I have a lot of friends that are interested in PWHL that have never been interested in hockey before. And as soon as they hear that, given the context of hockey, it's like, oh my God, what happened? What did he do? And my response is, I don't think he did anything. He's just not a great coach, and she's an elite player. And I shouldn't say he's not a great coach. He doesn't seem like he gelled in Vancouver. And since Sarah Nurse is such a key part of Vancouver's very short history, to me, picking her and banking on her, that was a smart move.
Yeah. also staying in Vancouver with relative certainty, I mean, obviously anything can happen, are defenseman Sophie Jix and our goaltender of, I was going to say choice, but I think our number one goaltender of most choice, Emmerin Smashmeyer. Again, I like Soupy. I do. I hope,
Yeah,
there's
and I
a
like
future
her
for
too.
her,
It
but
would be great if she came back. I do think she's the strongest backup in the league, but I do think Mashmeyer is a number one. And yeah, obviously picking a goalie, to me, I'm not saying it should be a complete definite, but it seemed to me to be a smart move to do that. And yeah, Sophie Jakes is, I think she finished our highest scorer. And yeah, she's one of the best defensemen in the league, but also high scoring defender rather. So yeah, those three contracts make sense. Obviously, Jen Garner, local hero, not on that list, and I would love to see her back. But yeah, there's some players that I'd like to see back. Vanasova, a couple of newbies, my favorite, Manning McMahon. But in terms of people that I think you need to build a team around, I think they make the right choices.
I sort of alluded to the fact that the Seattle Torrent are without players, so they're not without players. The team could lose a maximum of 3 players in this sort of first phase. They have lost 3 players, so Kayla Barnes, Hannah Bilka, and Corrine Schrader. They're all departing Seattle. It is possible that more will depart as we see the transition that will be taking place. Ottawa lost a couple players, Emily Clark and Rory Gilday. The New York Sirens lost Kristen O'Neill and Ann Tchaikovsky. The Frost lost Kendall Cooper and Mae Batherson, as well as Britta Kursalem. So Minnesota's another team that's lost their 3 at most. I guess actually the Sirens lost 3 too, because they lost to Kaylee Osborne.
Yeah.
But what's again interesting is you could lose a maximum of 3. There were only so many teams to choose from, and Vancouver has lost 0. The struggle is that teams needed to get to 5 before the selection phase were to trigger, and Vegas no get there. They've gotten 2 players, and I believe this will now allow for them to go in and select contracted players. I mean, I'll be honest. I can't. I've tried to understand how this works.
And
I
was just gonna say what's interesting about this phase though already is, I would say maybe an additional reason Vancouver didn't lose any players is the players that were left unprotected were just so tempting to that. There was so many. I mean, unenviable to be a team like Montreal where you kind of have your players pre-selected in Desbiens, Stacey Poulin, so they lost their very talented rookie Nicole Gosling. But it's insane to me that Toronto didn't protect Dara Watts. She's one of the best defensive players in the league. Elena Mueller from Boston, that's another player I think is crazy that didn't get protected. Who else? I feel like Detroit made out like bandits, really. There's some really just good players. We talked about Clark. We now know she was the highest paid player in the league, because the players decided to release their salaries, which is an interesting thing again, because we're seeing how many players are really barely making enough to get by. But yeah, Emily Clark is now not going to lose a bunch of money, so good for her. But yeah, there's some interesting decisions made by the teams already. So I think obviously we're looking for more competitive expansion teams than we previously just had, and I think we're gonna get it.
Yeah, I wonder how, like, because I was just reading while you were talking through the different phases, how things will actually trickle out during the sign phase. Because like right now, the existing teams aren't able to sign contracts with any of their, or they were able to sign contracts with anyone whose contracts were expiring, but the maximum was 3, and for the Goldeneyes, they elected to use only one of those, that being Sarah Nurse. Mashmeyer and Jakes were under contract, but that kicks in this week for a handful of days. All teams can sign expansion and existing. If you are Vancouver, do you think you go wild?
I think you definitely need to make a move, because if Sarah Nurse is committed to staying, I do think.
But I don't think you can commit trades until after the signing. So,
Correct,
like,
I think.
yeah. So, like, to me, you get everyone that you want back under contract, but you also start to recruit. Actually, can you actually sign outside of your team? Okay.
Can't you sign at least outside the league? I believe.
Let's see. Open signing period. Expansion teams may sign up to 3 additional players. Existing teams can add 3 additional protections. Oh, okay. Oh, so the open signing period is they can just add 3 more. And those 3 protections could either consist of players already signed or on expiring. Okay,
Yes.
so they can sign other players, but it's going into your 3 or your next 3. So then they'll have 6.
Yeah.
And then there's the 2-day expansion signing period. That's the where Vegas somehow magically gets to 10 players. They have 2 right now. Then there's a following 2-day period where existing teams can negotiate with their own players. And then there's the entry draft on the 17th. And on June 19th, it's free agency, essentially.
Not complicated at all.
I'm just going back here. So players unsigned, all expansion teams may sign 3. Existing teams will add 3 additional protections, bringing protections because the players already signed to the team's roster and/or players in expiring contracts signed during this phase. I kind of think with phase 3, they can't go outside of their team.
So what's the open part?
So I'll be honest, because like the second bullet point is existing teams will add 3 additional protections, bring to 6, blah, blah, blah. So these protections may consist of players already signed to the team's roster. So that's the ones who are under contract, like Vanisova is, for instance, under contract, but not yet protected. And it's or players on expiring contracts signed during the phase. So it doesn't say newer exist, like in other points, it does say it's expressive in who. That one it's not. Oh well, who knows?
Plus there's the whole FPO thing that I don't think we've encountered yet, or maybe we don't know if we've encountered that. So FPO is the franchise player offer. And that's a one-time or foundational
foundational player offer, to eligible players on expiring contracts.
Yeah.
Non-binding.
Those are the non-binding ones. Sorry, what I mean to say, have we the expansion foundational offer, the EFO, which is a binding contract, but basically has better terms than a normal contract. I don't believe we have any of those, the EFOs, but there's also parts of the process that are secretive. The expansion teams also release, also have a list of players that they're working from, and we never get to see that, the 20 players.
I think it says something that you need a degree in astrophysics to understand all of this. And
I have 3 articles open right now.
I'm not knocking the PWHL in doing something different, because again, you and I've spoken about this. You have this opportunity to be a little bit different. It's just the multiple phases and understanding which way everything can go is so difficult. I think especially when you look at expansion across professional sport in general, teams protect, you draft. Like Vancouver and Seattle got to do it the way we've come to expect. And for whatever reason, which maybe it's because they're taking 4 teams and increasing the size of the league by 50%, they've chosen to go an alternative route. I'm still struggling to understand, like, why not have it? Okay, protect 3, they can go take 1, and then they can try to sign others or something. Protect, like, like have it so it's tiered. You can understand it, not like if it's a Tuesday and it happens to be a full moon, then an EFO AP ABC 1 2 3 can be offered, and that's kept under secret, except if it's an FEOP or whatever. And
So yes, I believe the only thing that I understand is that the open period, I believe, is mainly for existing teams. Well, no, it's for existing and expansion teams, but after that, that's where the sort of next smash and grab comes, so to speak, of players that remain unprotected after the additional.
And then they have like these 2-day periods in between. Like, it's like, okay, we need to catch our breath. Like,
I guess so.
Oh, well, whatever. When we get back in 2 weeks' time, what will be certain? 1, the draft will have happened.
Yeah.
And 2, we'll be in phase 6, at which point it's free agency. It is what we expect to occur. So by then, everything will have shaken out, and you and I will be much clearer as to what has transpired, maybe, but what will be transpiring moving forward. So that's clear.
It's funny. I went into last podcast thinking that I was so confused, but when we talked about it, I was like, oh no, I know a decent amount, at least about the first few phases. Now I thought I knew a decent amount, and turns out I know nothing.
Well, you know quite a bit more than me. I
don't think that's true. I think, we're both kind of lost.
Yeah. Oh, well,
we'll see what happens.
And then when they expand again next season with a bunch more teams, they'll have different roles, and we'll have to relearn it.
Bad.
Oh, okay. Well, moving off the PWHL just to talk about the Stanley Cup final. It's happening. The bad guys have 2 wins. I don't really care one way or the other. Guys have 1 win. The series has been entertaining. One might suggest enjoyable if you're into that type of thing.
It's entertaining from an objective standpoint, but it's just always sticking in the craw what's happening.
Like I honestly feel like if this was Colorado and Carolina going at it, I'd probably be engaged.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm very clear. Long-term listeners know, if the Canucks ain't in it, my season's over, or I could care less. I pay attention, obviously, for the sake of our podcast, but that, like, pay attention is loosely. I might watch highlights or turn it on as background noise. The Stanley Cup final should be one that has me engaged. It's not. I just could care less. In fact, I maybe shouldn't say I could care less. I care so much that I hope one team loses because of decisions, players,
and
bad people.
Yeah. We've talked about extensively our opinions on the Vegas goaltender. I know a few people have either said to me directly or just discussed what the Carolina crowd did in regards to the Vegas goaltender. I will say that
they had a chant.
Yeah, they had a chant. I will say that I don't think that behavior was, although, like, obviously the sentiment I can get behind, treating something of that nature so frivolously, and I'd love to be wrong about that, but just my experience as a hockey fan and sports fan in general leads me to believe that it was done frivolously. So yeah, that's my
Okay.
2 cents.
I'm going to be that guy. I think there are some who are doing it because just with the sheer number in the stadium from a place where they truly believe the words they're saying.
Yeah, that's true. I do believe that too,
Mhm.
and I do think it is important to keep the conversation going about that.
Yeah.
I said this on social media, but if you are bringing up the Vegas goaltender's name in regards to the Conn Smythe, then you're
Ugh.
at least obligated to bring up one of their terrible, murky histories. Choose one, and to not recognize that. I'm not saying don't do your job as an analyst, as a whatever you are. I still think that needs to remain part of the conversation.
Yeah. Um, I didn't involve myself in the argument, but someone had tried to suggest the whole, not guilty, so you can't hold that against someone. We've had a conversation about what that means here on this show, and I look at
Yeah.
it this way: just because a court of law did not convict does not mean questionable. And that is me being conservative and saying questionable activities that were admitted to.
Yeah, that were literally admitted to both in the courtroom and then in a Hockey Canada investigation, the evidence of which was not allowed to be admitted into the courtroom, but is available for
Yeah, like
reading.
it's if you were to
These
say
are question
that's
things.
okay,
Yeah,
then you and I
totally.
we're in going in separate directions. Like that's the part that drives me nuts. Like it's not like it was made up. It's not like it was some
Yeah.
form of he said, she said. No, it was activities that were admitted to, and again I'm using the word conservatively here, being questionable. It is far worse than that, but I'm going to agree that questionable can be used as a baseline in this scenario.
Yeah, and just don't come at us and say cancel culture exists
No,
when
it's
someone
consequence.
is in this place of privilege. Stan Bowman still has a job. John Quenville, like in the highest possible, league and position of privilege. So, yeah, that's where we are.
Oh man, sorry about Arsenal.
Oh, that's okay. I am definitely not upset about the season. I think
Well, it was a good
although
season, but that
it was a
final
good season.
match, I'm not sure if the ball has come back from orbit, but
Yeah, it was a bad penalty. There's no doubt about that. But PSG are a much better team than Arsenal. So
I watched the
currently,
match. I watched the match
and
and I saw it going to PKs, and I'm like, oh, what a tough way to lose. Now, the fact that they lose on a ball sent to orbit, and again, like I've never been a professional athlete, but the few PKs that I took, I think
you
I went
totally get
into
it
it
on
with
target.
like, yeah, like if the goaltender's going to make a save, make a save.
Yeah,
Right, like that.
totally.
My thought was, I pick my spot, and if the goaltender stops me, good on the goaltender. But I need to make him or her, well, him. I am playing co-ed, work, and that, and then someone will point out, well, it's not easy. Yeah, I agree. You got how many ever thousands of fans hooting and hollering. You've got the adrenaline, the nerves, and all of that. And it's not easy. Just pick your
Yeah,
spot, kick it there. I mean,
yeah.
heck, go for a Panenka. If the goaltender makes a save on that, it
Oh, I
still
mean,
looks bad,
it
but at
would
least it was
look
on
worse.
target.
I think it would look worse if he tried at Panenka. But yeah, to me, like although at the time when I heard about the parade for the Premier League happening
Mhm.
the very next day, which is happening because of the World Cup, which I have no interest in, so that made me a bit mad because I thought, that's crazy timing. But because that happened, like the very next day, I just had my social media feed flooded with just pure joy. Like 1 million people turned out to that. whole of London was red. It was just an extraordinary time of joy for the players and the fans. So it was hard to dwell too much. I really like the way, I forget who it was, but exec put it, who's kind of a long-serving member for Arsenal, who was talking about the feeling going back from Paris in 2006 of losing the Champions League final and thinking that was the end of an era, and now it feels like the start of one. So I do believe that Arsenal will be back.
Well, here we are, end of a couple of weeks, and found some opportunity to get some football into the conversation.
I know. Wait for more of that when we complain about street closures or whatever.
Yeah, well, I live out in the burbs. I mean, I guess I do have to deal with a couple trips in, but I'm all okay. I'm invested because I'm a proud Canadian sports fan. You know, there's only been a handful of times where I've said positive things about Chris Pronger, and it was because there was a maple leaf on his jersey, but it pained me, right? So I am going to be watching with interest. I do not know how Canada is going to fare. Like, the injury bug is just going through the entire roster.
Yeah. I mean, I do think obviously they start out as underdogs anyway, so
yes.
But yeah, if
but
they
it doesn't help when your you know, your best players are likely not going to be even on the bench in game one, let alone potentially be on the roster for the tournament. So
yes, it's tricky. I reserve my right to complain as a Vancouverite. I'm already done a bunch of complaining. I work downtown. They are shutting off like one of the most beautiful parts of the city. So it's gonna be interesting.
You follow international football? Like, you know,
don't.
I was gonna say, because like Canada did have a friendly against Ireland. You know,
like, I mean, I follow the issues more broadly, especially with Irish football. You know, the game with Israel, etc. And I will in a very low stakes way, hope Scotland do well because my dad is Scottish, and hope England don't do well. That's because neither of my parents are English. I grew up in England, surrounded by English football fans, and that being on the news. So I'm sorry to say that I am lumping them as a collective together and saying they don't deserve success. So.
Okay. No, I mean,
and I just want the Arsenal boys to come back uninjured. That's my main hope.
Any words of wisdom to share with our listeners this week?
That like you're never, even if it's June, you're never going to be at a point in Vancouver where you're completely safe from rain. Yeah, so be prepared. You know, act like the Scouts. Be prepared.
Words of wisdom from me: as you happen to be going to a match in Vancouver, you are allowed to take a water bottle so long as it's a single-use, reusable.
Yeah, I know. It's like, we really hate the environment. Cool.
Yeah. So, you know, do take one because it is going to get hot. Like, people look at Vancouver, and I mean, we're talking about it being January. No, when the matches start to occur, it's going to transition in the summer. It is an open air stadium, but in the summer, that open air there's no breeze. The heat is just bearable. Although I think the word is that FIFA will have the roof closed, and you might think, oh, cool, air conditioning. No, sauna. So again, take that single-use, non-reusable water bottle that has no water in it and get the water from a filling station amongst 50 some odd thousand other people.
Yeah, and the way they're trying to, I mean, if you're not from Vancouver, just look up how they're planning on getting fans into the stadium.
Oh, yes. You're going to take sunscreen, put it on, but don't take the sunscreen into the stadium because that's a banned item.
Maybe you need to do like the cricketers do and get zinc because that's long lasting. sunscreen.
Once you're in the stadium, you're fine, presuming the roof's closed, or as we call it aptly, the hole. But it's the
I just think
transit from like Main Street to the stadium.
Yeah. So just to be clear, there is a station in Vancouver called Stadium Chinatown, so named because it's near both BC Place and the hockey arena. Are they using that to get fans to the stadium?
Nope.
No.
Of course not. No. That's too close. Bad things could happen.
Yeah, and in fact, there's no way for pedestrians to get from to the stadium. If you are staying, maybe you chose your hotel to be right next to the stadium.
Nope.
Oh, that's
you
too
gotta
bad.
walk. You gotta make yourself to Main Street.
Leave downtown.
Yeah.
To go back down.
Oh, it's going to be a fun time.
Anyway.
Fun times. If you've reached this point of the show and you'd like to support us, best way to do it is obviously, getting your friends and family to listen, talk about the C4 podcast everywhere you can, social media, what have you. But that said, we also like when people throw us a few bucks. The reason is that it helps us pay for the bills. Those who support us on a regular recurring basis to the tune of $5 a month or $50 for the year, they're the ones who directly impact the bottom line because it helps us cover the costs of hosting and the domain fee, all that jazz. And then for those who like to throw a few bucks our way on a one-off basis, that amount is entirely up to you. Those are the funds that go into the pint bucket. And then we'll in turn buy some pints. I was actually going to suggest that Anna and I get together at some point over the course of the next month. But then I realized that over the course of the next month, downtown will be nuts. Most venues where Anna and I might go will have televisions probably showing and showcasing certain events that could in turn make them nuts. And, well, I'm not a big fan of like crowds. I'm old. So we might get together after the next month, maybe in July. But we'll get together. There'll be pictures. We'll share them. You'll see them. And she'll get plastered because I'm gonna give her all the pint money.
Pint money to spend, so why not?
And then we'll record an episode, and Anna will spend the entire time apologizing to her mom. Hi, Anna's mom.
Hi, Mom.
No, to be honest, I would probably the one to be doing silly things. Do you know what I just noticed, Anna, off the rails?
What?
There is a giant, like, daddy long legs spider up in the corner of the ceiling right now, and it's really freaking me out now that I know that it's there.
Oh, I love that.
It's huge. Like they're great. They kill all the bugs. They take care of the stuff. The problem is it's huge. Like, it's not a tarantula, but he's related.
Daddy Longlegs, they're called that for a reason.
No, and this is like granddaddy long legs up there, man. Oh, it might be granddaddy longer legs for all I know. He is big on, oh man. I mean, if only you listeners could actually see me. I'm looking up in the corner, like Anna can vouch. It's up there. Completely off the rails.
I can't see it, but I'm gonna.
No, but you can see me looking up, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like, it's up there. And it's
I have no bugs. I can see.
Well, apparently I have no bugs in here now because that well-fed monster has been eating them all.
Yeah.
If you want to keep track of us on social media, at the C4 Podcast on X, the Real C4 Podcast on Threads, and c4podcast.com on Blue Sky. The website with our back catalog is c4podcast.com, and as A4603 everywhere. I'm Light Force pretty much everywhere. And I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, or this 2 weeks episode. I don't know what you would call it every 2 weeks, but we'll be back in 2 weeks time to talk about the Stanley Cup final, the PWHL draft, and whatever else might have transpired. And by the way, we out.